Our nipsty wars. So it's been a while.
That's Ryan from the R2bEEaton channel. About a year ago, he created a phonetic reverser program. 3 months later, we got the idea to make some music with it. Before we show you all that, though, Ryan, how does it work?
Well, you see, in language there are graphemes and phonemes. Graphemes are letters, and phonemes are the sounds their combinations make. To reverse letters is easy, but reversing sounds is harder. So my website,
Linked in the description,
breaks up the words into their sounds and outputs a pronunciation guide to say them backwards. If you want to hear the exact same thing I just said in a longer form, check out the video I made on my channel.
With that, we had the idea to phonetically reverse the lyrics of a song and sing them to the tune of said song written backwards. I knew that we'd need to choose a simple song, so my mind quickly settled on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Its melody is simple, recognizable, and easily achievable within most vocal ranges, and its lyrics were fairly simple to reverse. But when we actually got down to it and started working on it, we encountered quite a few interesting and unexpected obstacles. Ryan is a trained singer, and I'm not. So I had him sing the melody with the lyrics, as well as 2 other harmony parts, and I sang a bass line that I threw together pretty quickly. The arrangement itself was custom written by yours truly, and it uses really simple harmony. The harmony of the arrangement essentially boils down to 4 chords. And yes, they're the 4 chords. The entire arrangement consists of the 1, 6, 4, and 5 chords, not necessarily always in that order. The arrangement opens on octave Cs to establish the tonic. A simple stepwise bass line creates smooth chord motion down to the 4-chord F. Over the stepwise bass line, we see a 5-chord in first inversion, a 6-chord, and a root position 5-chord. In the second half of the opening phrase, we simply have the 4-chord F leading to one of the simplest musical gestures in all of Western music, a 1-5-1. The third and fourth measures are harmonically identical to each other, 1, 4, 6, 5. This is a reordering of that classic pop progression that Axis of Awesome did their whole thing about, so I probably don't need to go into much detail about it at this point. Measure 5 is identical to measure 1, but measure 6 is not identical to measure 2. Both of Ryan's harmony lines have some changes in them. In his quarter note harmony line, I changed the second C to a G instead. Looking back, I'm not sure why I did that, but I did. I also changed his final note from an E to a G because of the change I made to his other harmony line. In his direct harmony to the melody, I changed the last 3 notes to walk down from G, the root of the 5 chord, to F, the 7th of the 5-7 chord, to E, the 3rd of the 1 chord. Because this upper harmony was already singing E, I had to change the quarter note harmony to G in order to complete the 1 chord. And before anyone asks, no, I didn't check this with the traditional 17th century 4-part harmony rules. It's likely littered with parallels. I know for a fact that it contains quite a bit of voice crossing, and I don't doubt that a college music theory professor would rip this arrangement apart. I wrote it a year ago while I was still in high school and I wasn't really thinking about the AP Music Theory class I'd taken the year before. If any of my theory teachers or professors see this, sorry. Once we had the arrangement written, we could start learning and recording the parts. As he learned the melody, Ryan encountered an issue with the lyrics.
World is really hard to say backwards. Try it. I think I can do it a bit better now, but it was difficult because of the "erled" at the end. Delarl is how you have to say it, and I just couldn't get it. After showing this early version of the song to my brother, he came up with replacing "up above the world so high" with "up above us oh so high," which is a lot easier to say in reverse.
Once we cleared up that little lyrical hiccup, we had to deal with some other interesting problems. For one thing, we were initially just singing what the phonetic reverser showed, but still emphasizing the beginnings of each word when we reversed it. This created a wonky rhythmic effect that threw things off. It wasn't until we began thinking about the entire process backwards that things really started to fall into place.
You mean, "Sielp utnilov"?
We noticed that when we reversed the playback, it made a lot of our tempo-related inconsistencies much more apparent. Part of this was due to when we chose to breathe. This more so applied to Ryan, of course, since he was the one actually singing words.
When singing, you usually breathe at the beginning of a phrase. In this case, I had to consciously breathe at the end of a phrase, chopping notes short to give enough time to start the tail end of the previous phrase or next phrase, or... It's a small distinction since the pauses are short, but it turned out to be quite important.
Initially, I, for some reason, decided to sing the bass line using the word mud so that it would make each note sound like dumb when reversed. Well, the idea was pretty dumb, if I may say so myself. When I realized that, I decided to just sing a neutral ah syllable instead and sort of slide between my bass pitches. On the subject of pitches, one last snag we encountered throughout the process was one unrelated to phonetic reversal, but a common issue in recording pitched parts. Intonation discrepancies were pretty common. This was simply due to the fact that we were recording each of Ryan's individual parts without tuning one part to another. The melody and bass line were recorded at the same time, so they ended up fairly in tune. However, again, I'm not a trained singer, so my intonation probably wasn't perfect.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wondrous you are. Above us so high, I thought I might in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wondrous you are.
In the end, we created a pretty decent product and had a lot of fun with the experiment. It took about 4 hours.
From 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Sleep is for the weak anyway. I'm a music major after all. And though it took a full year, we finally made a video about it.
I guess you could say it's been a while. Stewed nest. Sandwich. This entire video was recorded backwards. We promise. We're really good at it.
Bye!